Thank everybody for coming here tonight. I greatly, greatly appreciate it. I want to first thank Commander Hughes, who allowed us to be here tonight and is actually hosting us, and all he has done for our country and locally. I also want to give a shout out to some important people in the room. So we got, on behalf of County Exec Ed Romaine, Mr. Lemure. We have Emily Sands, a CAC chair for West Hampton, Eastport, Remsenburg, and...
I think she just left.
Okay.
She had a dinner with a kicker.
Okay. We have Manny Valor from East Hampton, our East Hampton leader. Peter Ganley was here, he's the South Hole leader. Now I'm going to butcher this last name, but he's my new BFF. Craig Catalano To, what is your name?
Craig.
Craig. So we have Craig, who's a planning board member in Southampton. Then we got royalty, town clerk Sunday Shermeyer. And speaking of town clerks, the most handsome town clerk, Dennis Noncaro from Southhold. He's the most handsome in Southhold of all the town clerks. We have the president of the trustees, Scott Horowitz, here today. We have Philip Smythe from the Remsenburg Association. We have Rick Martell, former town board member for Southampton, and hopefully a town board member again. Maybe, is that too soon? Is it? All right, so you. All right. Chris Nunzi is here, right? Former town board member, most interesting man in Southampton, they say. We got Councilwoman Cindy McNamara here. And what I love about Cindy is she beats up TJ for me, which is very. We have Jerry Silla, former Shelter Island supervisor. And don't hold it against him, he's from the other team, but he's supported. We have Amber Brock Williams, the current supervisor for Shelter Island. We have Meg Larson, town board member, Shelter Island, back there. We have Ken Lewis, the Shelter Island Highway Superintendent, otherwise known as the bully from Bowditch. Of course, we have David Betts. And then Brian Tiemann is here. West Hampton Village Trustee. And I have Beard Envy. From around.
Take over for you.
So, since we are here at the VFW, I would like to share a story about a young man from the Bronx who found himself in some far-flung corner of the world, Anzio, Italy, when the world was at war for the second time. He enlisted into the United States Army at great risk to his new marriage with a baby on the way, not for fame, not for money or recognition, but for the love of country and because it was the right thing to do. He rose to the rank of first lieutenant of the famed 3rd Marine Division, which was the only division that fought the Germans on all European fronts. It was the most decorated infantry division in World War II. In fact, 39 of them won the Medal of Honor. The Battle of Anzio commenced with an amphibious landing and lasted 6 months with numerous engagements. During one such engagement, the young man from the Bronx left the cover of a ditch to cross more than 150 yards of open terrain in broad daylight, with enemy artillery and mortar shells bursting within 20 yards of him to capture alone and single-handedly 6 Germans who were endeavoring to make their way back through the lines with 4 American prisoners. His cool courage and determination prevented the capture of 4 Americans and resulted in the capture of 6 of the enemy. He followed the motto that in the face of a rendezvous with death, we can, we must, and we will. On February 29, 1944, during the third major German offensive, that young man made the ultimate sacrifice for his country and never got to meet his son, who was only 10 months old when he died. However, his death was not in vain, as that offensive failed, and 4 months later, Rome was liberated. America recognized him as a hero, and he was posthumously awarded the Silver Star. His son grew up without his dad, but followed in his father's footsteps. And his grandson just recently retired as a Suffolk County police sergeant. That young man from the Bronx, Joseph Kiely, was my grandfather. His son, my father, a veteran and a cop, and my brother, his grandson, a cop. Now, my mother's mother was also a badass, and one of the first Lady Marines. Her husband, my grandfather, also served in the Army and later became a New York City police officer. And several of her brothers also served in World War II. Needless to say, public service is baked into my DNA. I have no choice but to serve the public and serve you. How many of you in this room served in the armed forces? Please raise your hand. We got one back there, obviously Hughes. Can we please give him a round of applause for their service? How many of you served in law enforcement? Got many hands here. Now, as this being National Police Week, please, I would love for everybody to just give them a standing ovation right now for their service. Now let's have a brief moment of silence for Detective Diller, Detective Simonson, and other officers who have been killed in the line of duty or from injuries or sicknesses they sustained on the job. Thank you. You all responded to the call of service, and thank you very much for doing so. You know it's not about fame or fortune. At its core, it's truly the love of country, the love of state, and yearning to protect and serve. I too have heard such a call and devoted my entire adult life to serving the public in many roles, such as an assistant town attorney for Brookhaven Town, Southold Town, Southampton Town, and as the current town attorney for the greatest island of Shelter Island. I was also a village prosecutor for the villages of Greenport, West Hampton Beach Dunes, and I was also for a short time an assistant district attorney. But now, our state is at a precipice. I'm called to protect and serve the residents of the most special AD in the state, one that is full of farmland, open space, woodlands, wetlands, beaches, and small towns. I'm intimately aware of the issues facing this AD. As referenced, I was a municipal attorney for 4 of the 5 towns. I know this AD. And I can tell you, I have a very particular set of skills. Skills I've acquired over a very long municipal career, like the drafting, interpreting, and enforcing of local laws, skills that make me a nightmare for wide-eyed developers and their accomplices, Governor Hochul, and Democratic legislators in Albany, who want to urbanize and overdevelop the East End. One housing project, one battery storage facility at a time. High-density Hochul and the progressives, who believe we have a housing shortage, but have welcomed 200,000 migrants to New York since 2022, want to, on the East End, shove 3,000 market-rate new homes onto the East End every 3 years, despite what your zoning code says. She also wants to allow developers to build as of right at any church, synagogue, mosque, or any made-up religious property, up to 50 units per acre. 50 units per acre. No, a 10-foot side yard setback, and no site plan required. In order to find vacant land, the state will extort the municipalities to give up a list of their vacant parcels annually, or risk losing 50% of their community block grant that isn't even state money, it's money that comes from the federal government. So they're extorting us to get that information to then shove housing down our throats. Private property rights zoning, our environment, our aquifer, and our rural character is under siege, and I will be your bulwark against such an attack. Article 9 of the New York State Constitution confers onto the East End home rule. I'm Irish, and I love home rule. We alone decide how we're going to address the very real problem of affordability on the East End in a way that doesn't destroy what makes the East End special. Not New York City progressives and other Democrats in Albany who have never set foot on the East End. I will fight like hell to preserve home rule. A consequence of urbanization is not merely sprawl, but a rise in crime, and crime is indeed on the rise in New York, generally as a direct result of a concerted, progressive agenda, seeking to neuter the rule of law and coddle the criminal. And us on the East End are not immune. We are not. Bail reform needs to be reformed. I've seen it in real time as an East End arraignment attorney. Do you know that arson, stalking, material support of a terrorist, the mutilation of a corpse to cover up a crime, and the possession of enough fentanyl to kill more people than could fill both Yankee and Shea stadiums are not bail eligible? A judge cannot impose bail in those circumstances. It is crazy. One simple fix can cure the madness. It would require that judges, because we have judges that, are on the left side and very progressive and don't want to adhere to the law and don't want to protect the community. So we would require that judges take into account the dangerousness of the defendant in setting bail. Let them have all these penal law provisions that, they're saying is not bail eligible, but equip the judge, on the other hand, to take into account dangerousness of the defendant. That is very important, very crucial, and every other state in the union, even our friends in California, allow the judges to take that into account, and the federal government. Also, in this bizarre world of a state, a drug dealer can sell drugs, cut with fentanyl, and if a user ODs, they are not criminally liable for that death. I would sponsor a bill to make it at least manslaughter, where they will spend up to 15 years in prison in addition to the drug charges. But another thing that I see on a weekly basis in my weekend arraignment gig is undocumented persons committing crimes with impunity. Why? Because King Cuomo II unilaterally made New York a sanctuary state, and by executive order, he handcuffed the police by prohibiting them from contacting ICE upon arrest and upon conviction. ICE is the federal agency charged with removing illegals who present a danger to our national security or a threat to public safety. They're not out for everybody. They're not out for people just trying to make a living, take care of their family. ICE is out for criminals, and our local police can't even communicate with them in the state. It's insane. Day one, I'll fight to pass a legislation that would require the opposite, the immediate communication with ICE upon arrest and conviction. The Democrats, just a couple of days ago, shot down a bill that would just do that. It's crazy on its pedestal, with a poem from Emma Lazarus, which states, "Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to breathe free." It does not say your criminals. And on the East End in particular, we need migrants who want to have a better life and become Americans. However, those who have other motivations need to go. So let's become a law and order state instead of a sanctuary state. And lastly, due to the progressive education in New York State in elementary, secondary, and post-secondary levels, our children are woke to everything under the sun, except what? Anti-Semitism. They don't know anything about anti-Semitism. They're asleep to that. I will push a bill to ensure that our youth are properly educated about the Holocaust and anti-Semitism, and ensure that our colleges and universities provide anti-Semitism training to professors, staff, and students, or risk losing funding. And also lose funding if they cause, permit, or allow anti-Semitism to be allowed on campus, whether by protest or otherwise. Now, I have 3 simple asks from the people in this room. Number 1, if you have not signed my Stop Overdevelopment Coalition petition, please do so. It's very critical for me to win this race. As you know, Republicans are underwater with Democrats, and we need to make up the difference. And people have been pushing themselves over to sign this petition called Stop Overdevelopment. It resonates. I'll tell you one story. I was in Southold IGA. I'm there. I got 35 signatures in an hour from Democrats, Green Party, Independents, whatever. I got into an argument with this one gentleman about Gaza and Palestine and what was going on over there. We almost came to blows. It got that heated. However, he said, despite all that, I hate that goddamn hotel they built, and I'm going to sign your petition anyway. So that goes to show that this has appeal. And this not only has appeal in my race, of course I'm selfish and I want you to get these petitions signed so I can get on the ballot, but Southampton going forward, this is a tool you can use to win local races. So it's very important that we get this line because you'll make it legit. If it's on the state line, people see it, it'll be legit. Also, donate or get small donors. $25 to $250 for public matching to amplify my message. So what they can do, the state, is give up to $175,000 in matching money if we get up to 75 in-district donors and they pay at least $6,000. And then that triggers it, and then I get 10 times, 12 times matching up to $175,000. Imagine what we can do with this, because my message is your message, locals. I will get that out there, and you'll be able to take advantage of it. And the easiest thing I'm going to ask you for tonight is Facebook. Please like my page, please share my page, and every post that I post, even if it's boring, please like and share, because that brings my message, our message, to your friends, to your little universes. It's very easy. It takes 2 minutes out of your day. So I want to end with a quote from Karl Schurz. He's a German immigrant, one of the first Republicans who helped get Lincoln elected. He fought in the Civil War and later became a statesman. He said, "Our country, right or wrong, when right, to be kept right, when wrong, to be set right. I say, our state, right or wrong, when right, to be kept right, when wrong, to be set right." Join me in setting New York right. Thank you very much.